everybody. Welcome back to Creative Chat Cafe. I'm Zafzan, your host.
And I am Lirone Glickman.
And hello there, I'm Sondra Feuerstein, and we are your hosts on today's episode of Creative Chat Cafe. We're a weekly business talk show hangout for entrepreneurs and business folks who are looking to soar into a business and life that pays it forward.
Exactly, and this is time to get some time out to hang out. So we're going to give you some guidance and inspirations and results today. Of course, you can tweet us, and you should tweet us. It's a live show, guys, at CChat Cafe. So at CChat Cafe, that's our Twitter handle. Use hashtag Creative Chat Cafe or hashtag CCC Time to Hang Out. We have special April hashtag Green Bees. So let's see why green bees and what we're going to do today.
Well, just so you guys know, I don't know if this is a thing in Israel, but it's April Fool's Day. Has anyone been gotten yet?
It's not yet. I think it's looking early for me because I just got up and got going to work. How about you, Lirone? You've been out ahead of us.
Well, I have this group of girlfriends from college, and they woke me up with a photo of pregnancy test, and it has like 2 lines, and I'm like, oh my God, congratulations! And then April Fool's Day, or scam. So yeah, I've been fooled.
Well, today's topic is savvy social business trends that are supporting entrepreneurship and the green economy. So since the launch of Facebook, many social businesses are sprouting up and have been for the last few years. And so today we're actually going to be talking about 2 of these most recent social trends that are starting to pick up some momentum. And the first one is Airbnb. It's a community marketplace where guests can book spaces from hosts. They can connect with people who have a space to share. And it's a really great solution for people who need a place to stay. It's a really easy, enjoyable, and safe thing to do, but it also helps the economy and inspires entrepreneurship. The other thing that we're going to be talking about is the ever-popular Uber, which connects you to a driver within minutes. Or you can choose to be one of the drivers as your full-time job or supportive job. So this is going to be a really exciting show because we are asking you, our audience, to come and share your stories and share your experiences with these super popular services, and so we want to hear about it. So you heard the hashtag.
Sorry, I just got blank here a little bit. So for you both out there in Seattle and also in Israel, have you both heard of Airbnb and Uber? Because I know they're pretty much new. Actually, Airbnb has been around since 2008, but it's only picking up steam right now, and I think the reason the 2 go together today, because I feel from my personal experience, which I have a story today, is that they go hand in hand. I'll tell a bit more later, but do you both, use it or have experience using it, or have friends who have used it? Sondra?
Well,
Lirone, go ahead.
Sorry? Yeah, sure. So in terms of Airbnb, I haven't used it, but I've been recommending my friend's apartment, which was just out there to the market. So I got some kind of play with this platform, and I think it's amazing, and it really transformed the whole industry. Now, in terms of Uber, it's kind of new in Israel, but we do have Get Taxi, which is only taxis, and it's a similar model. I love it. I think it's such a great thing. Like it really saves time, and it has like code of service. So in any cab you're going on, it's going to be more trustworthy, and the cab should look good, and nobody can really trick you around. And I don't know what about you, but in Israel, some drivers love to kind of get you more money, and and kind of play and play some tricks on you and get the longer road. So I think it's an amazing thing. But then it's not Uber, so that's kind of what
did you say Get Taxi? Are they able to, are those like individual drivers, not really in a cab type of business? Are they able to be the drivers?
Well, no, Get Taxi, you also can find them in New York and all around the world, but they're not like the Uber model, but it's the closest thing I experienced, so sorry.
Okay. How about you, Sondra?
Well, so I usually use Uber really late at night. That's
Good point.
it's when I'm in a position where buses aren't running. And it's I'm definitely not in a condition to be driving my own car. Or definitely don't want to be dealing with parking.
Right.
But what I really like about Uber, something that they launched, oh man, maybe like a year and a half ago, is Uber X, which is part of Uber, but it's the cheaper alternative. So, and they tend to be eco-friendly cars, eco-friendlier anyways, higher gas mileage. So it's a Prius or a Camry versus driving in some massive SUV. So I do really appreciate that they have that. And then as far as Airbnb goes, unfortunately, I haven't been traveling enough lately to be able to take advantage of this service, but I have a lot of clients that do travel both domestically and internationally, and I pretty much always recommend Airbnb to them, only because when you're traveling for business, you want to be able to have that sense of home, and Airbnb gives people that solution. And I've also helped people set up theirs here. Maybe they need help paying rent and they have a spare room. There's also that aspect of turning my friends into their own mini entrepreneur by helping rent out their bedroom that they're not using.
That's true. That's actually the story with me and how I really got started with Airbnb, because we have a spare room in the house, and there's 3 bedrooms, and there's only me and my husband, and we don't have children. So what happened was, I always, I coming from a culture like the Asian culture, I'm very used to hosting people in my house. And then I had my sister's friend who came in from Malaysia last year, and we were just joking. I housed her in the bedroom. She says, and we were talking about her traveling, and I said, where do you stay? And she says, sometimes Airbnb. And I'm, what in the world is Airbnb? So I said, so she kind of explained to me what it is. And I said, hey, that's pretty cool. And me being an entrepreneur, it just kicked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, hello, that's a good way to make money. I need some. Hello. It gave me the idea I should, try this out. So I researched it, and I said, what, I'm going to try this out. Actually, it is, a great idea. So I started researching, looked into Airbnb, and I actually started an account, put up my listing, and I thought, oh, pretty cool. And I think, we're talking today about savvy social business trends, that support the entrepreneurship and the green economy. And I think it's a great idea. You both are business women, and you know how it is when you have an opportunity, which is in a simple setup like this, maybe it's just a small step, but sometimes it can take us to, bigger things. Because from what I've seen through the Airbnb listings, oh my God, some of them have 2-3 listings, and it's pretty cool. And I thought, hey, so we hosted our very first Airbnb guest, which was 2 days ago. So
really?
I was really cool.
Wow.
I'm like, yay, we got our whole.
So how was it?
It was good. So we really, really had a great time. So this is where, the discussion about Airbnb and Uber came about, because so you mentioned, Sondra, that, at late nights, sometimes it's the best way to go with Uber. And with this guest of ours who's a student from the University of Houston, and being new here, and he was attending Yale Global Conference right here, because we're about 10 minutes drive from Yale University.
Okay.
So he came and, stayed with us 5 nights, because, of course, being a first-time guest, I was host. I'm like, did I do this right? But we really lucked out because Airbnb has a way for you to verify your guests, and there's a process to it, which is really cool. So imagine if you're a hotelier, you have your systems and all that. So he came in, he used Uber X. I said, Uber, and I said, what in the world is Uber? Because he flew into town, and the airport that we have is a very small airport, and I said, oh, what time are you arriving? He says, I'm delayed. I'm going to arrive at night, like midnight. And he says, I'm going to just try my luck with Uber. And I'm like, what in the world is Uber? Long and behold, 12 midnight, he arrived in a private car, like a private limo driver for him.
Yeah.
I said
Wow.
that was pretty cool. So that's where I learned about it. And I think I want to show something real quick and share my screen for some of you folks out there. I just want to go through the platform. If some of you have not seen, let me just put that on the screen here. So for some of you who don't know what Airbnb is and have never seen it, so the website is airbnb.com, and then this is what you see. This is the platform. Right now, they're having.
I want to be there.
Yeah, they're having some tech problem. But if you want to go for the weekend or you want to explore the world, you have options. So I'm just going to give a sneak peek into the dashboard. So when I mentioned earlier about, there's a process to it, and I kind of created another like a sample account just to show everybody. So this is me logged in already. So you have the dashboard right here. So you can actually click on that dashboard, and it is the way for you to set up your profile, and then that's a verification process. You can do online verifications, and then you can do in your upcoming trips, and it has a lot of stuff, and you can do your listings. When you list, if you see here, post a new listing, they will walk you through every little detail. It's like a template. So all you have to do literally is just pick what you want and set it up. And they have the trust and safety logo here. I mean, secure payments. And, I got paid the day after our guest came. So that's pretty cool, right? We love new fast money. And that's when I talk about social, this is what I mean. They have their Airbnb group. So if you're a first-time host, you can literally join groups, request to invite, and you can search for more groups. And there's a group that I belong to that is named 411 Airbnb. For first-time hosts, they provide the support for people who are hosting it for the first time. And then you can set your profile, you can do your photos, and you can even do a video to create and build trust. And then you have the trust and verification. So, I mean, for some of you folks out there, I think, who have an extra room, why not make the money, right? I mean, it's a good way to make some money, and I think the social business is really quickly becoming, a trend. I mean, it started with Facebook, and some of the three reasons I think I like Airbnb. One, system is available, so you don't have to worry about like setting up your calendar bookings, you don't have to worry about that. It's and it's app based. Everything's done online, and you can communicate right there on your app, and then it sets up quickly, like you just saw. It's all set up quickly. Or just plug in what you need, your amenities, your facilities, and then I think we can more green in our pockets, and more moolah to spend and make this economy greener. What do you think, ladies?
Definitely. Can I make a book recommendation real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, I have a friend here in Seattle. She used to be a real estate agent. She used to be an editor. And so one of the things that she decided to do, so I don't know if anyone realizes what's happening to the market here in Seattle. It is booming. It is becoming really expensive. We have so many people traveling here for work. We have a lot of people just transplanting here. We have Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing, Starbucks. They're all booming companies. So we have so many people coming here, and there just really isn't enough housing for everyone right off the bat. So one of the really brilliant things that Rochelle did is she started renting her space out to Airbnb users, and she ended up writing a book about it, and it's called Letting People In. And it's got stories about her experiences. It's got tips on how to make the most of your Airbnb space. It's a short, easy read. Last I heard, she was thinking of doing another one. Her name is Rochelle Short.
You know what we'll do, Sondra? After the show, you can send me a link or post it up on our Facebook page for Creative Chat Cafe, so that people could definitely go and get the book or read about it, because I'm sure many of our audience out there want to learn a little bit more,
Well, and I think especially as an entrepreneur, we're coming from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur. Networking can happen, as you both know, in so many different ways.
Exactly. I get goosebumps just by saying that. Yeah.
So, I've heard that this is the same for Uber, and I know it's the same for Airbnb. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to start something up, when you have people sharing your space with you, whether it be your home or your car, conversations start flowing. I've heard of some really amazing connections that have been made in these spaces where you're saying, I'm doing this for my dream. And so those connections are made. There's this understanding, okay, I understand you got to do the side hustle to do the main hustle. And so, just also understand that it's not just strange people getting in your car or your home if you decide to launch it yourself. Or maybe you're the one that is new to a new city. I mean, Lirone is moving to New York soon. This is what you just heard. Sorry, I hope that wasn't a secret. But I mean, when you're trying to go to a new place and you need to make new connections, this is a really great way to just get down into it. Remove the small talk and just say, okay, what are you trying to do? We're on the same page. Let's connect. Let's do this together.
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned about the networking part. So with this gentleman, right, first time meeting this person, and you know me, happy, right? Happy go around, extrovert. So I wasn't sure what kind of gas I was getting. So we really lucked out with this gentleman, and he's really a smart kid. His MD, his master's in Yale in medicine. So we talked about, and I talk about, how we do our shows on Google Hangout, and I say, I love apps, and the fact that you just shared with me the Uber app, I'm like, for real, because he came in, and everywhere he went, he showed me on his phone, like, look, that's 2 cars, like 2 minutes away, because you can see the cars moving, which I will see later. But that's
he didn't get lost.
Before he left, I said, I'm glad that I tried this out, because it gives me an opportunity to meet more people around the world. And from the statistics I read on Airbnb website, it says since they launched, there's been like probably 91,000 new friendships in the past year. So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And I'm sure, Lirone, you can appreciate it. I'm sure you will test it out. Let me quickly ask you this, Drug, because, being in the concierge business and what you do, and you mentioned about your clients earlier on, how do you think you can use Airbnb to help your clients?
So I've used it both for clients who are traveling, like I said, either domestically or internationally. I've also helped people who are coming here to work find a temporary housing solution. So one of the things that I do really love about Airbnb versus a hotel is that because my clients have this concierge service, they don't actually need the amenity of a concierge in their hotel, because I can provide my continued service to them regardless of where they are. So, I can help coordinate, if they need groceries delivered, I can help coordinate that even if they're in another country, really. I mean, my network has started to get so broad. But then one of the things that I really love about doing Airbnb is that I get to help my clients create a sense of home in a new city. So I actually had a client who he works out all the time. He has to work out like 5 days a week. And he went to Paris. And he happened to be there during the Charlie Hebdo thing, so that was crazy. But he didn't want to stay. He didn't really want to stay in a hotel. He was willing to, but he needed to make sure that there was a gym available. He wanted to do an Airbnb so he could make his own breakfast, buy a couple groceries.
Right.
So while he was in Paris, before he went, I was able to let him know, okay, this is where your office is. This is, if you want to be able to walk, here are the metro stations, and did all this upfront research for him. Found him the right Airbnb. They didn't have the amenities that he was looking for, so I was able to find another hotel in the area that did have some of the amenities so that he could partake in that, but still have his own apartment. And And so he was there for a couple weeks, and he just, the whole time, he was so comfortable. And it just, he got to, even though he was in a foreign city where he didn't speak the language, he was taken care of by my services, but then he also had this more authentic experience rather than staying in this, very boxy hotel room.
Yeah.
And, even here I have clients that, one client in particular, she used to be based in New Zealand, so she ends up getting people coming from New Zealand to help her for maybe 2 or 3 months at a time. And so trying to find a short-term rental is not possible. Staying in a hotel for that long is not a good solution. So Airbnb, or I also use VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner. It's similar to Airbnb, and I use those services so that when they come here, I can let them know, okay, these are the bus lanes nearby. This is the, here are the apartment opportunities. Do you want to? I will say, here's one small advantage of doing this versus a hotel. Sometimes there are cuddly things in the apartment. Sometimes people have dogs, cats. And when you're staying somewhere, if you're staying somewhere for even a couple weeks, maybe you want that, cuddly affection of a little puppy dog or something. You're not going to have that in a hotel.
True.
Sure.
That's how I use it.
Yeah, and it seems like, as you said, you can do it. For example, you can order groceries from anywhere in the world, and I think it's a great service that you can provide, of course, to your client, but then again, also it helps you to manage it if you're a concierge, for example, like you do, or if you're like a private person. It's really easy today to set this settings for you for Airbnb. And I want to ask you, Sondra, then because hosting an Airbnb is a breeze, what can you do to make it even easier for your clients?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I can do. So one of the things, first you need great photos. No one is going to rent a space without good photos.
Oh, I love that point.
So number one is just going in there, making sure the place is clean, getting good photos, making sure you're representing the space right. I also like to gather information that would be helpful for guests about, like I said, bus lines nearby, amenities nearby. People do like to go to the gym. People do want to be able to walk down to a cafe. And then I also will help kind of facilitate the communication with prospective tenants or clients or whatever guests. And so I'll do the grunt work. So if you're interested in renting out a space, although it's a really easy process, chances are you're probably really busy, and that hour or two of work going into it might feel like more of a headache than you want it to be. Or maybe you're out of town all the time, and that's why you're renting your space out. This is a way to have someone kind of manage it for you, and I'm happy to take care of all of that communication.
Yeah,
I love that you think that way. Great point. Did you want to say something, Lirone? Because I had an idea and I just wanted to.
I don't know. I just said it sounds so great. Sorry. Yeah, go for it.
That's okay. Okay. So here's in what you were saying. So this is something I was supposed to have another, I invited my my intern who's in France right now, and he was with me on a call yesterday, and I just asked him about Airbnb and Uber. I said, do you use it? Because being an international student, especially in a country like France, do you use it? So he was supposed to be on the call, but he wasn't able to because he's got a test in class. So I recorded a conversation with him, and which I will share on our Facebook page and all social media for Creative Chat Cafe. And one thing that came to mind, because as we talk about, how this Airbnb, social businesses like Airbnb will support entrepreneurship, here's my thought process, like what you do, Sondra, because it's how you service your clients. And what my intern Pavan said, he mentioned about, because he's a business development student, he's all about entrepreneurship, goes to a great business school in France, and he brought up a great point. Because I asked him, what are some you think the challenges with Airbnb? He says many people, especially like businesses, will probably think, oh my God, we have a competition, right? Because oh, they're going to take business away from us and all that stuff. Then he kind of made a great point, and I think point for all of you folks out there who are watching, who are thinking about doing it, or other businesses who have this same thought process, like, hey, they're taking our businesses away from us. Maybe you have a small hotel, right? And a family-owned run hotel, and you think, oh my God, Airbnb is taking away. I think what would be great, and what Pavan mentioned and brought up, is the point that he says, instead of fighting it, we should all embrace it, because if we can work out some sort of integration, for instance, like your business, right, Sondra, being in concierge business, what you mentioned about how you can service your clients is the fact that, like, for instance, you can be the person, you have many angles that you can do, you know, whether it's for the business owner or for the guest itself, you know, from the guest point of view, you know, new client coming into town, maybe they're on like a expats, you know, coming into the city, living, they don't know where to find, you know, a good place to live. You integrate their Airbnb concept with your business and be the person who takes care of all that, they're taken care of. And the other way for you to service the host, or like what you said, reminded me of staging in design, interior designs, right? Like, you can set things up like that for them, and you know, make sure, because in Airbnb they do recommend, like you mentioned, great pictures, right? If you can't do pictures, you want to hire a professional photographer, whatever. So I think in staging the place or whatever, I think that would really be another good addition to your business. And I think for many of you folks out there, you may have, you know, a small family run, you know, bed and breakfast. It's something that you can use and integrate and use the system, because I think the younger generation is getting more social by the day, and they all live right here, right?
Right.
So if your business has an app, especially, that, you know, delivers immediate communication, and you stay on top of things, that builds trust. And I have the Airbnb app on here, and in fact, Airbnb rates you if you do response within the hour, or 100% response rate or not, you know, because they do, you know, they do evaluate you by that little things that you do, response, communication.
Well, that's one of the greatest things about both. I mean, all of these social apps is that there's this instantaneous rating.
Right.
You know, I've hesitated bringing this up, though, but I do feel like, since we are spending, I know I haven't been talking about Uber too much yet, but we will be talking about it. You have to be careful. You know, it's the same as with a taxi. If you're getting into someone's car alone, you have to be careful. If you're staying in someone's apartment alone,
bring a mace.
I've heard really, really scary stories, to be honest, about people that I know personally that, you know, it was no fault of their own. They just happen to have a super bad person as their Uber driver, and it happens.
You never know.
It's dealt with.
Have you seen?
Huh?
No, sorry. I'll comment when you finish. I think you're saying very important things. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's just, you know, keep in mind that, you know, especially with Uber, you can plug in your address. And one of the things that I've heard is, you know, I've heard of people that give a negative rating to the Uber driver, and the Uber driver knows where you live because you plugged in your address. So, you know, you want that rating system to be honest, you know, but there's also just be smart, you know, like I don't really know what other advice to give other than just, you know, be careful. If you feel as if you had an Uber driver that wasn't trustworthy, maybe don't give them a low rating, but call the company instead and say, I don't really want to put myself in a situation where I feel unsafe, because there are kind of horror stories about that. So unfortunately, that's a really small portion of the entire service. But I just feel like if we're going to be talking about this, we need to make sure that people know there are still dangers involved whenever you do anything alone.
Right. So, and you brought a great point about trust and all that, right? So, which we will talk a little bit, and I'll show my screen on the Uber website and stuff like that. And I know, you know, Lirone, you're in business networking. You're all about people. There's ways for us to, you know, kind of gauge a person, right? Once you're in a location with that person or before. So, some of the things that came up in my Airbnb conversation is, you know, people ask me like, how do you know that this is the right person to rent out and be your guest, right? So one of the things I'm being mindful about is some of you folks out there. So I'm a very observant person. So taking my business networking skills, Lirone, and putting it to use, you know. What I did was I make sure, and this is actually recommended by Airbnb, you make sure you establish your communications, one, on the platform, right? Be clear of your expectations, even though you say, like for us, we don't wear shoes in the house. I put that in the house rules, and I said, you know, because they want you to be clear about everything. And one more thing is, before you even get to like them booking your place, make sure everything stays in the Airbnb website, or you know, the platform, the communication platform.
That paper trail.
Yeah. And one thing the Airbnb groups, the hosts have been saying, ask great questions, and I tell this to everybody because we don't know the person who's coming into our homes. It's a home for you, right? So ask questions, and it's nothing wrong with asking like, hey, you know, Lirone, you know, I would love to hear why you're in town. You know, maybe I can provide you a little bit more guidance, like what to do, where to go, where to shop, and all that stuff. So if you communicate with person, and I think Lirone, you can back me up on this, like once you speak, even though communicate it on an app or website or online, you can gauge a person. Your first impression of a person is important, right? So just like business networking, your first impression of how they respond will tell you what kind of person that person is. Do you agree, Lirone?
Definitely, definitely. And I love what you said about questioning, because you know, there are all types of questions. The one that you gave, for an example, kind of offer your help and see where does the person takes it. Kind of, you know, it's a way to assess what person is looking for. Is he looking for certain stores, or he doesn't looking for places, or where, you know, where does he want to go? If he doesn't want to go anywhere, any answer can help you. There's another tactic of questioning that I like to do in order to learn about people, and it's to expose something about myself and then ask, and you, like for example, I like doing this and that when I'm whatever, what about you? So if you put the question in the right context, you can try to also reveal some pinpointed information about the person. And yes, and I love that you said, Sondra, because it's like it seems to be safer and more trustworthy because it's under the umbrella of a certain platform. But then again, we need to be aware.
Be aware.
Go back to the questions. I think one of the best reasons to do a line of questioning is that you're going to be weeding out the people that aren't serious. If you're trying to operate your business, you don't want people to reserve that space and then cancel. You want a little bit more sanity.
Also,
so people that are answering 4, 5, 8, 10 questions are going to show their serious level.
I love that you brought that up, and here's my point for a tip for some of you folks out there who are thinking about it, right? So from my personal experience, this is all set up on the Airbnb website. So you mentioned about how serious and all that stuff, right? So one of the things that I've done, just learning from the group, so we talk about social, you know, social businesses and the entrepreneurship community, like in a greener economy and all that stuff. You want to be social and learn from other people, and this is why we do the shows too, so we all can learn from one another. So here's my point to Sondra just now. In Airbnb, they also have everything. I'm sure they thought of it all, right? Because the questions do come up. So in response to that, two things that I've done that I think have helped me achieve a little bit of success, good results with, you know, our guests is, one, they recommended. So one of the members in this 411 group told me that, you know, because I said, you know, some of them don't have profile set up, no verification, and they're like, I want them to come, but I'm not sure. You know, they might seem like they have good communication skills, but I don't know the person. So she said, what you could probably do is up on your deposit, security deposit. So people who are serious and are good people, I wouldn't say good people, I say people who are generally serious about renting the space from you, right, would be willing to pay for it because, you know, they're serious about staying. So that's one good point. They say, you know, just up your security deposit. The security deposit will only be charged if there's a problem after they leave the space.
Right.
So that's one. The other thing is, in the cancellation policy with Airbnb is that you can actually choose from 3 policies, like cancellation policy.
Yeah.
One is called, I think it's light, one is moderate, and one is strict. The strict one is once you book, if you cancel, you won't get refunded. I chose the moderate. That means they have up to 5 days to cancel, which is great. So it gives you a little bit time to promote it a little bit more or do whatever. And then the light one is really you can cancel anytime. So within 5 days, if you actually cancel, you will get full refund. For the light, if you cancel anytime, you'll be refunded whatever. The strict is if you book and then you cancel, you only get a percentage of your money back. So that in itself, I think, is a tip for any host who wants to host an Airbnb space, and that's a good thing to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Lirone, we're talking about this Airbnb. I know we have a few more minutes, but I want to ask you this question, because talking about you coming over to New York City, you're probably be in the category of a suitcase entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to know, how do you see their Airbnb concept can help like a suitcase entrepreneur like you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll give you a tip. I think I told you about her in the past, Natalie Sisson. Her name is the Suitcase Entrepreneur. That's her website. And she travels the world, and she's being an entrepreneur, and she talks a lot about Airbnb as well. So you can go on her blog and search for Airbnb in the search box. She gives a lot of great tips. Now, as far as I see it, it just makes travel life more fun and cozy. So, as Sondra said earlier, like hotels are really nice, but many people want to feel at home, home-like away from home. And being independent and also book good places in advance when you do the right checkups and find a good location that you want to be at or cool homes and kind of experience different lifestyle of someone else. And I think it's a total different experience staying in an apartment than in a hotel. So Airbnb does help you as a suitcase entrepreneur or an expat or business owner who just travels a lot. It just helps you to do just that and choose places to stay based on the place and people's ranking, location, and others. And it does give you more freedom in a way, a lot of freedom, and that's what we want, right? We want some freedom in between the job and other tasks that we have.
I also feel like Airbnb is a really nice kind of middle step between youth hostel and hotel. You have that social element. You're meeting new people. Maybe there are multiple rooms per rent, but you're not like paranoid about your stuff. Right? You don't have to lock it in a cage. I think that when you are traveling, especially if you're traveling alone, it's nice to have that kind of social facilitation. And I know that a lot of Airbnb hosts love to actually, part of the reason they do it is to meet these people that are coming and going. It's just as much an adventure for them as it is for the person who's traveling. So if you are the type of person that loves to travel but doesn't love the concept of a youth hostel, this is a really great kind of like intermediary option.
I call it pen pal in the 21st century. Do you know what I mean? That's true, pen pal. So, so just to kind of review, folks, you're watching Creative Chat Cafe, and our topic today is savvy social businesses that are supporting entrepreneurship and the green economy. And we're talking about 2 of the most recent, social trends that are picking up momentum. Airbnb, which is a community marketplace where guests can book spaces from hosts to rent and stay, and also Uber, which we'll be talking a little bit after this. And it connects you with a driver in minutes, so it's really cool. And you can tweet us. I'm going to show you our tweet information.
Yay.
Yeah, there you go. So you can tweet us at C's Chat Cafe, and hashtags are hashtag Creative Chat Cafe and CCC Time to Hang Out. And this month in April, we have additional hashtag. It's GreenBiz, because we're talking about how we can green up our businesses, mindset, and environment. And we're going to keep on talking about that shortly. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about to our audience out there, if you have any questions right now, if you're on Google Plus, you'll be able to find our event page for this. Send us your questions there. And if you're on our website where you're watching it right now, send your questions there. Maybe you've got some, stories about Airbnb. Maybe you're a host, you've been doing it for a long time. You've made great money from it. So we would love to hear your story. Send us that question. And I just want to do one thing with the Uber, so I'm going to share something here real quick. Talking about that, just quickly, Sondra, you mentioned earlier, right, UberX.
Yeah.
I didn't know what UberX is because on the app it says Uber. You can see like black car, UberX, and SUV.
Right.
So can you tell me a little bit about what that UberX is? I was like, what in the world is UberX? You mentioned about it earlier.
They're on a scale of essentially price. So UberX is usually a smaller car. It's typically hybrid or at least higher fuel efficiency. Okay. A black car is going to be just like a town car, kind of the natural thought of what hiring a private car might be like.
Okay.
SUV is a monster car, so that's really great if you're. Well, so sometimes I'll have a friend who's hauling a bicycle, and they need to get across town, so they need a car big enough to put their bike in it. Sometimes we'll be traveling as a crew, going from one point to the next. We don't want to have 4 Ubers take all of us there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can all pile into one big one.
Okay. So it's just like a dialer to pick your selection of cars.
Yeah. So and one thing I will also say about Uber to just be aware of is that their rates are always fluctuating. So they have gotten very savvy. They have ways of knowing when there's high traffic flow. So here's a really awful example of how they did this. Do you guys remember hearing about like a mall shooting happening in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people were trying to get out of that mall during that catastrophe, and Uber said, we're happy to help you, but rates are going up because there's so many people that need an Uber right now. So just be aware of that. If it's, if you're at the bars and you're wanting to get a ride home, most people are leaving the bars between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. Fares quadruple. I mean, on New Year's Eve, fares were like 6 to 8 times higher, and they warn you about it because they make you agree to it. So it's never a surprise charge. But just, bear in mind, like if you are trying to be a little more diligent about how much money, do you really want to be spending $50 just to get home? Probably not, when it would otherwise be like $20. So just pay attention to that. But UberX is typically your most economically efficient option. So I appreciate that. And some people want the luxury of a big car. Sometimes UberX is all booked out. So you have to go up a notch. But at least there's that variety.
So I'm going to show everybody what the website is. There's one page in here specifically that will show you the features. So I'm going to quickly so this is the primary website. So you can, go there and it says you drive with Uber, your car, your schedule, your moves. So pretty much you can have a personal driver, And the app itself is pretty cool because it's one tap to ride, reliable pickups, clear pricing, and the price part we'll have to be just mindful of, right?
Yeah.
So the best thing is you can split your fare. And you can feedback, send feedbacks and cashless and convenient because you don't have to carry cash. You don't have to even carry your credit cards, which is pretty cool. And this is what you talked about, right, Sondra, UberX, the low-cost Uber, and, there's more. So they want drivers, and you can actually go around the world and just search your cities.
You know what I love about that all around the world? I love talking to my Uber drivers because we have a ton of people from East Africa that drive here. Yes. It's almost like more exotic to have someone who drives in from Seattle. You know, it's like, oh, you're local. Like, what do you know about Seattle that I don't know?
Yeah.
It is so interesting. I mean, you know, I'm not part of the East African community here, so it's usually these entrepreneurs. They, you know, their stories are incredible. The not only the miles that they've traveled to be able to have this opportunity, but just the emotional journey that they've made is just so fascinating. So if you're the type of person that just loves talking to anyone, you know, Uber is a blast. I mean, one of the things that a lot of times they'll do is they'll ask you what kind of music you want to have play, and I'm sure a lot of people ask for, you know, whatever's popular. My preference is if I can tell if they're not originally from the United States, as I say, play me music from your country, and they get so excited because someone wants to listen to their kind of music. And so I would just say, like, you know, it's one of the more entertaining rides around town you'll ever get, whether they are local or not. I mean, these are people that are obviously looking for some form of human-to-human connection, or else they wouldn't offer to drive you around all day.
True. Very true. We're about 12 minutes away, so I just want to quickly show everybody this, and I will, as I mentioned earlier, you can see, so this is some of the features, right? So you can see, if you're on your phone, the app, you can literally just request right now, right? You can see the car right here. Yeah. It says John, Toyota Prius, and you can see all these cars on the map. Yeah. And that's the coolest thing about it, because, you know, you can literally see the cars moving. I get excited just looking at those little cars moving, because when we had our guest and he was like, oh, I'm just going to eat for a little bit and I'm going to just look if there's any cars. And he goes like, oh, yeah, there's one around there now. I have a few minutes to eat. He goes, and then he puts in his request, and it was 5 minutes away. So that's my point, and you can check this out.
It's also pretty funny to watch them when they get, like, lost a little bit. They're, like, circling around, like, oh, they don't know where they're going to go. They're probably going to cancel on me.
It's a good entertainment, you know. And then this one, I think, if you guys are business folks out there, so imagine if you go into like a foreign city, a town, like maybe when Lirone's in New York City, like she doesn't know anybody, right? She doesn't know who's going to go and ride in a car with her. But it's great that you don't have to take out money and go like, hey, I'm going to give you $5 and you give him $5, right, for the fare. And you don't have to, because all of the driver will have to do is just like split fare, and, you know, you both get built on your app, which is really cool, you know. So that in itself is really, you know, putting that green, which is into your pockets, right? We can save a little bit money, because sometimes when I know when I go to New York City, sometimes, you know, you don't feel like taking the subway, you want a cab or whatever.
Right.
Now, if I am able to share it and split a $20 bill, that's $10 in my pocket. That's, you know, we save some money. So that's a great thing. One thing I wanted to, share is, if you folks go to, I'm not going to share that right here, but what I'll do is actually show you the map of Paris. So you mentioned earlier about Paris. Was it you, Sondra?
Yeah,
so my intern, Pavan, said, it's no frills, no mess, no stress, he says, because I'm going to show you, Zeph, what the Paris train line looks like. He goes like, look at that. I can't even figure out where to go, he goes, you know. And when he came in from India, and I thought the New York City subway map was crazy enough, then until I look at the Paris train map, and I'm like, I just get an anxiety attack just looking at it. So he says what happened was when he was in Paris for the first time, coming in from India, he says he didn't know the place well, and to learn that map system was crazy, the train system. So Uber really came through, so that's a great thing. And you mentioned earlier about, you know, cab drivers, you know, leaving them good reviews or not, right, Sondra? So here's my point to some of you folks out there who are thinking about this, because this, you know, this supports entrepreneurship, you know, having your own business. So that's things like anything else, any other business, be mindful of what it is. But I think I love to support the small business owners too. So one thing my experience using Uber was going with this gentleman, my house guest, to downtown New Haven and downtown city, which is about 10 minutes away. So I actually recorded an interview with the Uber driver. So, I will share that on our Creative Chat Cafe Facebook page. So I asked him, what are some of the challenges that he goes through, because, we're thinking about like, hey, my God, this is a new business. So this is a good point he made. He told me, being from his end of things, the entrepreneur, the business person. So he says right now, his challenge is he actually is making a little bit less money from the taxi driving that he used to do in the past, because he says he feels like in the city, there's a lot of, not many people on smartphones, he says. They're still learning about it. Number two, the fact that, in the Uber website, it hasn't been listed yet as the city on Uber. So I think that it could also cost him some money, because people don't know that Uber has services there. So even when my guest came in, he says, I wasn't sure if there was any Uber drivers. I'm like, okay, but he tried it and he liked out. So my point being is, if you set things up, if you're a business person with Uber or Airbnb, just like any business, right? This is a social business trend. We just all have to use our social networks and then networking skills, right, Lirone, and spread the word. And I think in small communities like us, if we do know, like Sondra, you were mentioning about your friend who wrote the book, right? So we can just do some shout outs for these people. It's a great thing, because it supports the economy.
Get your friends in there,
it helps everybody make a little bit of money, which is awesome. So he said that those were like his two major challenges, people not knowing about the app and how simple it is, and the smartphone thing was an issue. So I think from our business point, right, ladies, as business owners, as we go out networking, I know sometimes, if I'm stuck in the city, I want an Uber driver. So maybe we can help do some shout outs, to people that Sondra, like you said, you have you experienced an Uber driver, you spoke to him, and you exchange stories. It's all social. So let's help some of those folks out there, because they're doing a great job in the economy. Right.
So are they working hard? I can't imagine sitting in my car, sitting in traffic all day, 40+ hours a week. Whoa, that is a grind. And you are going up and back and forth. And especially, one of the things, especially if I get a ride home at, 2 in the morning, I'm in that rush. I am sitting there going, when do you get to go home to your family? These are, every time you're getting a ride in the middle of the night, that person is choosing not to sleep during those hours to get you home safely. So, I think as much as you can, just be so nice to your driver and be so grateful, because they're the one that's getting you from point A to point B safely, which is ultimately what you're looking for.
So I do have one question that came in, and the question is, are there drivers for all areas or just a certain area? Like, could they pick me up way out here in the country? I think the answer to that question, whoever you are, is the fact that you need to find out from the Uber website. You can actually put in your city or whatever and see if there's any. Or you can just download the app and see, hey, maybe there is a car around, So that's another
or maybe there's the opportunity for you to start a business. If you're the one Uber driver in town, I don't know how that works.
I know. There you go. Here's a dome. That's an idea generation. I know. So one more thing. I just wanted to do a shout out about the Facebook post that I read on Uber's Facebook page. So the fact about greener economy, and I read about this lady in China who did great things she started she really got into the Uber, and how China itself is using this Uber, business to kind of save, do a greener economy where, you are helping people ride together, less emissions, less carbon footprint. So that's a great thing from an environmental point of view. So if you go to their website, not website, Facebook page for Uber. Find for an article on March 20th, and it talks about how China's is using this Uber to really help the green economy there, which is really awesome. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Well, I also think I don't know. There are other services similar to Uber as well. So we have another one here called Lyft, Lyft, and it's really similar. Their model may have shifted. To be honest, I haven't used them yet. I downloaded the app but just never set up the account. But that one was meant to be more community driven. So it was really meant to be used as an opportunity to meet other business owners in the area. But also there was a donation aspect to it, so you weren't just like designated a fare. You could say, you know what, that ride was worth $25 to me, but maybe it would have only cost $7. So I thought that, keep your eyes out. Maybe Uber isn't in your area, but maybe someone else is trying to do something similar.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much great knowledge here about Uber and Airbnb, and I want to invite you, our listeners, watchers, to come and talk to us and ask us on Twitter. So you can tweet us using @CChatCafe, use our hashtag #CreativeChatCafe or CCC Time to Hangout. Of course, a special April hashtag #GreenBees. So use it, connect with us, communicate with us, and we'll be happy to give you some more information.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sondra, anything else before we wrap up?
I think I said everything I need to.
Yay! But just one quick question, Lirone, because I think we mentioned about this earlier before we wrap up and share our contact information. Quick 30 seconds here. You go to a lot of social networking events and you're a business networking coach. How do you think you can ever make Uber a little bit more fun?
In terms of, as Sondra said, this is a place where you can actually meet people and socialize with people. And sometimes it's great to set up maybe a drive with someone you haven't seen for a while. So if you're going to a certain event, just meet and chit-chat before the event. You can also lead luck to bring you the people that maybe the universe wants you to meet. And so you can actually use it in a planned way or just see what kind of people you can maybe sit with in the car.
Great point. And I think, one more thing, just for you folks out there, this is a great tip from Uber. If you refer somebody using the Uber app, right, you can get probably up to $20 off your ride, your first ride. So if you, there was this lady who actually cost her $150 for her first ride. She only paid $130 because it was her first time using it, and she got a like a coupon. And the more you refer people, you get more money, and they will send you coupons too. So that's a great thing. Talking about social businesses. This is why I think after Facebook, in the generation of Facebook people, right? There's a lot of businesses that focus on social because this is what people want. And with us doing Creative Chat Cafe, hey, everyone wants to hang out, and this is what we do. We chat. It is a social thing. So social business is quickly supporting the entrepreneurship scene and helping us all green up our economy. I mean, it's a society of sharing. Quickly. And I just wanted to share our information. Let me see if I can get this. I'm doing the wrong mouse. I already said I was doing the wrong mouse. So let me get this going. So it is our hashtag. Let me just show you. Lirone, do you want to go ahead and do your contact information?
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm a business networking expert. I can help you business owners to achieve your goals through building authentic network in strategically wise, how to maintain relationships, and more and more. My website is www.lironglickman.com. You can see it here. My email is info@lironglickman.com. Thank you so much.
Yay! Go ahead.
So I'm Sondra Firestein, and I started my own personal concierge business. It's called Pursuit of Seattle. I launched it a year ago, and in that time, I've been able to help many entrepreneurs find balance in their life. My goal is really to just free up people's time and energy so they can spend more time on things that just make them happy rather than just always working. If that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, you can find my website at pursuitofseattle.com. If you like me and want to
Yeah.
Sondra. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on the internet. So I can talk to anyone.
Yay!
Great.
Yay! Clap for you both. All right. So here's our information. You can go to www.entrepreneursatsoar.com, and there's a tab there that says web shows, and there's a pull-down tab called named Creative Chat Cafe. Go there and watch all our previous episodes, and you can see right here, you know, every first Wednesday from 12:03 p.m. Eastern Time to 1:30 is actually our live broadcast, the one just like today. And you can actually go ahead on Facebook. That's our Facebook page. That's our Google Plus community, and that is our, you know, hashtag, and that is our Twitter at @CChatCafe, and this is our YouTube channel. Because the show is produced by Entrepreneurs at SOAR, you will find a playlist for all our Creative Chat Cafe episodes. And thank you for watching, folks. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next episode of Creative Chat Cafe. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Mm-hmm.